Okay, hello and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jason, and it's my pleasure today to introduce Peter Robertson, also known as Reba Sushi. So Peter is on the Filecoin team, and today he's going to be talking through the Filecoin 101 Masterclass. So with that, Peter, if you're all set, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hello, everybody. Okay, can everybody see the Slingshot website okay?
Can.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Wow, it's great to have everybody here. So exciting. Actually, I am not even like a core Filecoin person. I'm just part of the search team, and it has been the response to all our space race events has been so phenomenal that we needed to, to help with the amount of work that we ended up working with. So welcome everybody. I hope that you will enjoy today's session. It is more of a hands-on demonstration of some of the basics of Filecoin, and I will talk through a few of the mechanics of what you should expect during this part of Space Race. So without further ado, let me first go over what Slingshot is. This is a competition that we announced on the back of our first Space Race, which was a phenomenal success. In fact, in the past 1 month after we start our competition, the network, and this is not even our main network, has amassed 314 petabytes of storage that is available and is proven to be available. Just to give you a little bit of a just to give you a frame of reference of what does this mean, this is about 4 times the amount of data the Large Hadron Collider puts out in a year. That's the amount of data that we actually are able to amass together in one network and be able to prove continuously that it is there. Really mind-blowing. So on the back of that, we decided that we, after we figured out a lot of the logistics about being able to monitor and have that much data, at our fingertips, so to speak, we need to work out the part of Filecoin where we ensure that clients can find where to store data and to be able to actually make informed decisions on which storage providers to deal with. So if you have looked at the Slingshot website today, you can see that we already have a number of real storage deals, and we have over 2 terabytes of data stored, and we have a number of participants already that are actively using the network right now. And I will go in a little bit of, I'll go to the mechanics of this in just a little bit. So before that, I want to very quickly summarize what actually is Filecoin from a client perspective. Filecoin is a network that allows a client to store their data with an entity they had no previous relationship with, while at the same time being assured that this entity can store their data, that this entity will continue storing their data, and that this entity will provide this data on request. The way we are doing this is through the magic of cryptography. In fact, here is one of our lead engineers tweeting about a month ago that it is crazy that on their laptop they're able to verify 27 DVDs of data per second through the power of snarks and zero knowledge proofs. So really, really amazing stuff. So I will switch a little bit to a live demo to really quickly show what are the actual mechanics of Filecoin from a client perspective. Before I jump into that, I want to make sure that you understand that what I'm showing you are the low-level plumbing of Filecoin, which is how all storage currently works. However, there are already applications out there and services that allow you to streamline everything that I'm going to show you in a bit. And there is going to be a presentation much longer than this one on Monday at 15:30 UTC, so half an hour before this one started, where the developers of PowerGate, the product that I'm referring to, will be walking you through how to effectively complete all the steps that I'm showing you right now with much better UX and much better user feedback and so on. But it is important for you to understand what actually happens in the background from a client perspective, and then what the miner actually sees on their end, so that you have the correct expectations when you're using the PowerGate software, and you will kind of know what it does in the background, because we'll be repeating the very same steps that I'm doing right now. So without further ado, here I have a Lotus client, which is basically our reference implementation, which currently is what powers the network. And on this client, I can ask the network how many miners are out there. And it's going to give me all the IDs of currently active miners. And to give you a better idea of what is available out there, many of the blockchain explorers, like FieldScan, for example, actually have useful maps of where particular miners are located. And if you look at some of them, you will see that all of them have a miner ID, which is the general unit of communication with a miner, and their location by their IP, and some other information can be put to certain APIs, which again PowerGate will actually aggregate for you and will present it for you as well. So you have a list of miners, and what you can do then, you can ask a particular miner for, you can ask them, are you willing to take data, and how much are you charging for this data? For storing this data, I'm sorry. So what we see here is we see a particular miner ID, we see their price per gigabyte, and we see that they take certain type of data for free. Unfortunately, this is not active yet. This probably will become active in about 2 weeks. And we will make another presentation about what verified data means and how it works. But for now, it doesn't actually function. And another important piece of information is what is the largest part of data that this miner can take. And let's say I want to make a deal with this miner, so I'm just going to do this right now. I am going to, I'm just going to try to upload my Lotus binary itself. So what I did here is I took a particular file, I chunked it up and made a DAG out of it, just like in IPFS, and I'll come back to this in a moment. And I got a root CID out of this. So then I'm going to sorry, I don't remember what it was, deal, of course. So I'm going to start a deal with this particular client for this particular CID. I am going to try to store the data for a particular period of time. It is important to understand that currently all our deals on Filecoin can be from 180 days to 540 days. So from 6 months to 27 months, I believe. My math's not very strong. So we're going to try to store for the minimum duration. We are trying to store with the person who just asked. And the reason I'm dealing with this miner specifically is because this is actually one of my miners I run as part of my job. And in the other window here, we will actually see what a deal looks like from the miner's perspective. So this miner, we are again repeating the this very same query ask that we did a little bit ago. We know what our data is. We're calculating based on how much this miner is asking, how much it will cost us. The total price for this amount of data for this amount of time will be that much. And it also tells us that we're going to be using this wallet of ours, where we have sufficient Filecoin. And we just say, yes, we want to go ahead and do that. And the deal will start. And the deal went through. And we will just give it about 20 seconds. And then we will yes. Okay, so the deal right now is going through. What is happening is our particular client that we're running right now is setting up a payment channel with the miner that we're going to talk to. And this normally takes about 2-3 minutes for the first time you do this. So if you are dealing with the same miner over and over again, this payment channel will already be established and maybe will be funded additionally from time to time. But this initial jump to get to a point where we can talk data before we, after we already established our payment will be much shorter. So let's check this again. It's still funding. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave this a little bit, and we're going to go back to a little bit of the theory of what is actually happening in the background. So because Filecoin is built on the same principles as IPFS, it also understands CIDs and chunk data and data DAGs, just like IPFS does. In case you are not familiar with what a CID actually is in the context of Filecoin or IPFS, there is an excellent tutorial about what a CID actually is, and I'm going to link this in the Slack channels once this presentation concludes. So what I did a little bit ago was I took my Lotus binary and I just added it to my local storage. What this actually did is it took it did the equivalent of IPFS add. So it took this data, it chunked it up, and then it linked it together into a DAG and gave me back the root of this data. This data could have been anything. It could have been a directory. It could have been some esoteric structure, like, for example, OrbitDB, or the Bitcoin chain being chunked up and put together into a DAG that actually represents the Bitcoin blockchain. Towards the end of the presentation, I'll come back to this again, because there are a few nuances that you need to be aware of as you're building things today. In general, throughout the rest of my presentation, keep in mind that we are still building a lot of these things up. our network is essentially complete, and it is working, and it's actually working phenomenally well. There are still some things in the data transfer that we are improving. In fact, there is a new version with data transfer improvements that is going to land literally 5 hours from now. So while in general, a lot of the things that I'll mention right now are going to be possible, a few of them still need a little bit of work. So in case you want to build things for this particular competition, there will be a few points to keep in mind that I will list at the end of it. So back to what happens to the DAG while it is being put together. This DAG is given to Filecoin, to the Filecoin client, and the main unit of data that Filecoin is going to work with is the root CID. We call this the payload CID. What happens after, and I am switching, by the way, to our spec site, which is a phenomenal amount of work. It lists essentially all the pieces of Filecoin, how they fit together, what are the different, how different proofs work, what happens to sectors, how the gossip sub network works to communicate block between each other, how tip sets work. All of this great stuff is in there, and it's a very interesting read. I highly recommend you browse through that. But what I'm going to talk about now is what actually happens once you get a payload CID or an IPFS root CID in an IPFS terms. Essentially, each of those DAGs is then taken and flattened out. So if you think of the DAG being a bunch of blocks which can kind of point to each other in diamond shapes, and you could have the same piece of file being referenced in multiple directories. So your DAG will not be a balanced tree, but it will be more of a it will have like multiple links going to multiple nodes, maybe multiple times. So what we need to do with this first is we need to take this supposedly relatively messy DAG, potentially relatively messy DAG, and flatten it out into a stream of bytes. We call this stream of bytes, by the way, car files, but this is an implementation detail that's not really important for you as a client. What happens then is this particular piece of data that does represent your entire DAG that you try to store in this deal is being another tree is being built out of it, which allows us to actually prove that the data is there. And then multiple trees like this are put together into what we call a sector. A sector is a static unit of exchange a static unit of proof, really, within the Filecoin network. The current space race network and mainnet in the future will support at minimum 32 gigabyte sectors, and the network will also possibly support 64 gigabyte sectors, but it's very likely that this will not be offered by most miners on the network at first. So for the most part, assume that the most data you can store is 32 gigabytes. And once all of this is put together and is filling the sector with potentially padding, then another process takes place which generates what we call a replica sector or a sealed sector, where all this data is being put through multiple cryptographic iterations, so that then it's really quick and really efficient to be able to tell that this data is in fact there. So once this process is underway, you as a client essentially need to wait for it to finish, because in fact, let's go back real quick and see what happened to our deal here. So it was in storage deal client funding a little bit ago, and I see. Okay, interesting. So as I said, this live demonstration and this is actually pretty excellent. So we proposed to this miner to take our data and to have it ready by a certain time. And the miner told us, I'm overloaded right now. I will not be able to do this in time for you. I actually need to give me a little bit of slack on when I'm going to start this deal. So let's try to do this again. This is excellent. I actually did not plan on this, and no, this is really great. So and again, I need to stress everything that you see here. There is a much better piece of software that we'll talk about on Monday that automates a lot of this for you, but I didn't want to mix too many concepts in one place. So we're going to see to the command line for the time being. So what we need to say here is that that the start epoch will be a little bit in the future. What an epoch is, by the way, in Filecoin terms, is a unit of 30 seconds that after which a new tip set is being created. A tip set is something like, you can think of it as a as a Bitcoin block, but it's actually way more efficient. In fact, I can show you this right here. So one moment. So this is the chain, the actual live chain. The current tip set is 91,480. And this tip set contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individual blocks. What this means is that miners on the Filecoin network are able to individually mine blocks. And it's not that the best block fits, but if you think of a Git merge, if these blocks merge together cleanly, they're going to be put in a single tip set, and this is going to be the head of the network now. This allows us to greatly increase the throughput of the network, and in general, allows for greater efficiency. So we're currently at height 91,000, and if we go back to the error, we were told that we will not be able to seal, and the miner told me that it will not be able to seal anything for me before this height. So we're just going to be even more lenient. We're going to say, okay, do it at 9650, for example. And then we repeat the process again. So we want to, whoops, we want to use this data CID. We again want to do it for 180 days. We want to deal with the same miner. And yes, we still want to proceed. And now this part should work a little bit faster. If I remember correctly, it is possible that some improvements to this are actually landing in this release that I was talking about. But let's find out. Okay, the single storage client funding state. Okay, so I was going to talk about what stages we go through after the deal is accepted, and what does this mean for you. But because I cannot show you this to you right now, let's go back to the spec and just talk about this in theoretic terms for a moment, and then we will go back to the mine and see what it looks like. So we have a thing called the sector lifecycle, and as a user, this is actually what you're going to see on chain after your deal has been accepted. So you are dealing with a miner. You are setting up a payment with them. You're giving them your you're putting portion of your Filecoin into escrow. You're giving them the data, and then they say, I got this data, I'll start work on it. At this point, there is nothing on chain for you to actually tell that they're really working on it. There will be a series of transformations taking place. The first 3 of them take about, depending on the miner hardware, they'll take anywhere between 3.5 to 6 hours. And once these steps are complete, the sector will enter pre-committed state. At this point, what the miner did is they put money down that they are committing. They're committing to keep this sector alive for the duration of all the deals in it. So the moment this goes on chain, you already know that your data is almost there in terms of safety and the ability of the miner to keep it. Then a number of steps required to secure the proof of this sector will take place so that the miner cannot cheat that they actually store the data, but in reality it's not there. And about 3 hours after this message, you will see another message on chain that says that this sector has been committed. The moment this happens, your deal in your client will turn to active, which means that this deal is now being securely stored on the Filecoin network, and the sector that it is being put into, the miner took all the obligations upon themselves to keep it alive, keep it available, and to be able to provide it to you on request. I'll just briefly touch on what can happen to a sector after that. What these states basically mean are that once a miner seals a sector and they keep it safe, what they need to do is every 24 hours they need to send a message to the network with a random portion of the data being mixed up with their signature, with their miner ID, with the sector position, in order to prove to the network that they still have this. Now you might say, how are they sampling this random data? There is actually another portion of Filecoin that I'll go a little bit in because it is extraordinarily cool. There is actually another blockchain running behind Filecoin. This blockchain is called Vram, or as it is known by its business name, the League of Entropy. What this is, and I actually have it open here, is a completely separate network with multiple participants, which all it does is it provides you verified randomness. So there are multiple entities across the globe which have no incentive to collude in any way, shape, or form, that mix together a massive depth random pool, essentially, and provide it to anybody on the planet in 30-second, I'm not sure, I believe 30-second intervals again, for anybody to use. And this is what the Filecoin network uses as its own randomness source. So everybody agrees that this is the other blockchain that we use to figure out which parts of a sector we are going to tell the network that, yes, this thing is alive. And nobody can fake this, and anybody can verify this, that this is indeed, at this time of day, this is the randomness that was there in place. And the reason I wanted to dive into this a little bit and why is it so cool is that the Filecoin network is probably the first network in existence which, during our testing last month, well, this month actually, during our testing, completely stopped when we made a planned outage of our randomness source. And after we turned back the randomness source, our own network continued and caught up to where it should be without anybody having to do anything. So think this through. We had one blockchain that is tied to another blockchain. It knew how to stop, wait, and continue from where it was without skipping a bit. I don't know. To me, this is amazing. So every 24 hours, you need to, as a miner, you need to send a proof to your network that this sector is alive and well. And if this is not the case, you get penalized. There are a lot of details that go into determining what this penalty is and how it's calculated. Why this is important to you as a client is that the miner actually is very incentivized to, once they take your data, to not lose access to it, because they get dinged every time that they are missing a presence check for the particular sector that contains your particular deal. And in case they do miss one such period, you will see in your deal state that your deal, I believe in the UX of PowerGate, it also displays this, that the sector has been declared as faulty. But this doesn't mean that the data is gone. This means that something happened during the proof of this sector still being in place. And in case it was an intermittent error, the next 24 hours roll around and your data will get, and your deal state will get back to where it was. During this time, unless the miner is actually offline, like they had some kind of outage or maybe a power supply burnt or something like that, if their hardware went back online and has connectivity again, even if your deal is in the faulty state, you can still retrieve it as long as they're there, as long as the miner is actually there. All these states show to all the states are there to show that your particular, that the sector containing your particular deal had a hiccup, but then it is okay again. All right, so we went through this. Let's check again how our deal is doing. Okay, excellent. So this particular miner is also not set to accept deals right now. This is another thing that you will probably run into in the first week or so, because miners are still figuring out how to exactly get their miners set up to accept deals from everybody, but how to set their pricing correctly and so on and so forth. So you might get an error which PowerGate will also proxy to you that I basically do not want to take your deal. And in this case, your only choice at this point of time is to go to another miner and try again. If you look through the rules of the space race competition, you are actually required to store your data with multiple miners, and this is going to be basically part of your discovery process. You will need to either install PowerGate, or in the unlikely case that you're using the Lotus CLI yourself, you'll have to figure out how to find miners that are interested in taking your deal. We are actually working on an announcement. I believe it might have already gone out to miners to start accepting more deals, and we're explaining to them what does this mean and so on and so forth. So throughout the weekend, this particular situation will probably improve a lot. There is also documentation with the Slingshot project where we list a number of reliable miners that will that expressed interest to participate in Space Race to Slingshot and would love to accept your deals and see how things work. Now, I'm not going to retry a deal again. I'm going to just show you what it looks like on the miner side when somebody else was able to get a deal too. So on the miner side, it looks something like this. So this miner has a number of sectors, like all 32 of them. And this one is being worked on. Pre-commit one means that it is before this state where it's going to write on chain like, yes, I have this. So this is what's working on right now. And there is a bunch of deals in this sector waiting. And then there is another sector that will be sealed right after that. And those deals will then be become active as well. This is also why when I asked this miner at the previous attempt, will you store my deal now? It said, I will not be able to finish it in time, exactly because it knows what it has in queue. So it responded with, try to tell me to prepare this later. This sector has a bunch of deals in it, which is improving state now, and all these deals are available and active on the network. Now, going back to what does this mean for you as a client? The Filecoin network, in addition to allowing global storage, it also allows global retrieval. In fact, your data that you put in Filecoin is not a one-to-one transaction. It is more of a, think of it as sort of a Dropbox. So if you deal with a miner and they take your deal and they put it on the network, they also record portions of data on the chain such that somebody else can retrieve this data as well if they have a browser for the chain that allows them to figure out like what is active there right now. This might be excellent for some kind of applications that you're writing, like for example, being able to provide some kind of scientific or navigation or cultural or other way, or data appropriate in other ways for global dissemination. On the other hand, if you're interested in storing user-specific data that needs to be guarded correctly, maybe, for example, is subject to certain legal restrictions, then you need to take the appropriate steps yourself to either correctly encrypt it or correctly shard it between multiple miners so that one miner cannot just reconstruct the data without the other parts of it, or something of that nature. At present, our software does not provide this type of helpers. You will need to kind of figure this out on your own as you go through. This is also why in the slingshot competition rules, we steer people towards culturally or technologically significant data, because it is much simpler to make a judgment call what and how to store this data. And that is pretty much it for you as a client of Filecoin. The retrievals pretty much follow the very same cadence, except you already know which miner has your data, and you know what is the what are the addresses, or what is the CID of the data that you want to retrieve. And then the same process will repeat. You will set up a payment channel or top up a payment channel that you already have with this miner, and then you will request the data back. There is one more interesting point that is probably interesting to you technologically. As you communicate with a miner, obviously you are sending them some money and they're sending you some data. In case you are dealing with a large amount of data, let's say several gigabytes, the amount of funds might be substantial. The way we solve this in Filecoin is by doing the following. Whenever we transfer something between a client and the miner, or back from the miner to the client, if you imagine this as being your DAG of your actual content, we send a couple blocks, request payment, validate the payment came in, then we do a few more blocks, do the same thing with the payment, then we do a few more blocks, then we basically go through the graph in a depth first, leftmost first fashion, and we keep sending a little bit of money to the channel at every I believe several megabytes, and this protects both the miner and the client from from one party basically leaving the other without anything. One more thing that I need to mention about storage and retrieval, which is pretty relevant to what everybody is building right now, is that miners are currently incentivized to keep a portion of your data in clear text, in addition to the sealed replica that they are going to put to the network that yes, I have this. This allows for very rapid retrieval of data, and in the future we will have a proof system that we are hoping to ship early next year, where even without taxing the miner with extra storage space, they will be able to serve your data back in some seconds, like the amount of delay to serve your request will be on the order of seconds, not on the order of minutes, as this right now. Of course, work is ongoing, and as I mentioned, we're still figuring out all these things out. But what does this mean for you today? Today, this means that you want to probably run some type of warm cache with your application that is sitting between you and the Filecoin network. Obviously, given that we deal with CIDs and with DAGs, this hot cache is an IPFS node. And again, this is what the Textile PowerGate suite provides for you. It is essentially a Lotus node, an IPFS node, and an orchestration daemon that ties all of this together into a nice UI and an experience. Because we didn't have enough time to prepare for this part of the space race competition, we very much encourage everybody who wants to build an application to do so through by communicating with the PowerGate instance. In the behind the curtain, PowerGate, as I said, runs a Lotus node, and it will be doing exactly the very same steps that I outlined here right now. One more thing that I needed to mention before I conclude my my little presentation and take questions is that you want to get a feel of what pricing structure is going to work for you. We currently recommend about one nanofil per gigabyte of pricing. This is a certain amount of autofill. So stepping back a little bit, all the prices in Filecoin on the low level are being calculated in integers. Just like in Bitcoin, we have the Satoshi. In Filecoin, we have the autofill, which is 1 to the minus 18th of, 10 to the minus 18th of Filecoin. Of course, this unit is too small to be really to be easily reasoned about, and the actual pricing, if we go back to the query app, wait a moment. There we go. the price per gigabyte is about that many Filecoin. What we are looking basically for folks to not pay is more than, I'm screwing up my numbers here. After the presentation, I will in the slingshot Slack channel, I will exactly spell out what prices are reasonable for this network and what you should set your maximum ceiling in either PowerGate or the Lotus client when you deal with other miners. At this point, we're essentially in what very much resembles the open market in mainnet. So keep in mind that miners could very well set insane prices for their storage or for their retrieval. You don't have to take this price if you don't like it, like when you make a deal, like right here. If this doesn't sound reasonable to you, provided that we seeded your account with a relatively small amount of Filecoin to begin with, then you don't have to take this deal. This is why there are multiple miners with which you're storing your data. And if one of them seems to be asking too much, you just go to another one and continue dealing with them. At present, there is no a reputation system that you can browse, just like, for example, the map here of, on the blockchain explorers. But this is something that a number of teams are working on, and it will probably become available in about a month or so. But for the purposes of the slingshot competition, you will have to keep in mind and be cautious how much are you actually spending on storing your data. And I believe this pretty much concludes my a little bit chaotic walkthrough how Filecoin actually works. And yeah, I'm happy to take any questions if there are some. Otherwise, I will be more than happy to talk to anybody during during normal hours in our Filecoin Slack, or I am holding open hours, I believe, next week. And there is another presentation that we'll be doing on how to efficiently store large data sets on Filecoin if you decide to do so. Yes, cool. So that's all I have. Thank you very much for listening. And let's see if we have any questions. Give me a moment. I will run real quick through the backlog. All right. So Santiago Velez is asking, do you intend to incentivize bandwidth and latency in regards to storage optimization decisions for storage providers versus storage consumers? Let me see how to answer this. We ourselves do not intend to try to incentivize this during the competition. We do not have sufficient tools to tell the network what to do. On the other hand, you can try to do this yourself. At present, the mining community is actually relatively small, as you saw on the Block Explorer map. There are actually 450 active miners right now, and most of them are in the Filecoin Slack. There is nothing wrong about joining the Space Race channel and just asking like, hey, I have such and such requirements for my storage. Would somebody be interested in fulfilling them? And see what happens. In a way, this is more or less a simulation of how the real Filecoin network will work. Of course, you will not be going to a specific Slack to ask this. There will be a more mature, more fleshed out marketplace in some sort of website or something like this. And there will be multiple of them because we're expecting, and there is already work happening by multiple external groups to build things like that to make it easier for miners and clients to connect with each other. Next question, again from Santiago. The client deal seems like a perfect structure for an order book for long duration contracts. Example, that many Filecoins for that many gigabytes for at that duration. Are there plans to create an order book or API for automation of these contracts with thresholds? Arbitrage for valuable storage, low latency scenarios. Can the network be outsourced by other projects like for transcoded video? The answer is yes. It pretty much dovetails in with exactly what I said a little bit ago. Think of Filecoin as not as much as a finished final product, but more of a platform that allows for a lot of this type of applications to be built on top. It is not really a good fit for the slingshot competition to build something like this because we're incentivizing a different type of metric right now. We're basically expecting teams to onboard as much authentic data onto the Filecoin network as they can. However, this type of project / product is definitely something that we would be very happy to see materialize in the coming months. Let's see. Okay, yeah, well, thank you for listening, Santiago. Yeah, I guess we don't have any other questions right now. If some of my colleagues are monitoring Slack, do we happen to have some questions there or not really? We have 5 minutes left to go.
I'm not seeing anything in the Slack, but yeah, definitely people can go there if they do have any questions to follow up with you. I'll drop the link in the chat here.
Yeah, excellent. We have anticipate timeline for Filecoin to be launched imminently. If you have paid attention to the previous months, the entirety of space race, we have been essentially working around the clock, fixing multiple bugs and making multiple improvements to the network, which would be it would be, number one, very difficult, and number two, very irritating to all users to try to fix post-launch. So we're burning down a list of must-haves that are going to be really difficult to fix after we launch, and this is what is currently delaying the network. But as I mentioned previously, the actual part of the blockchain, the actual part of proving storage, the actual part of being resilient to failures of dependencies, like for example the DNAT network, have been all figured out and they work phenomenally well. So very soon. Fei Yan is asking, are we going to cover PowerGate today? No. PowerGate is going to be a larger 1.5 hour presentation that happens on Monday at 15:30 UTC. So think the start of this presentation half hour earlier on Monday, and it will be, I believe it will be Andrew Hill talking you through things, and he's a much better presenter than me. So yeah, definitely tune in. It will be excellent. All right. I believe this is all the time we had today, and really happy that you joined us. And happy racing on the slingshot track of our competition.